The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode.
It's the summer of 93 at 30.
All right, it is Friday once again, and time to close out another summer of 93 at 30 week with a music video. Joining me again this week, back to back, it's David Banks.
Hello, Brandon. Hello, everybody. Thanks
Hello.
for having me on. I really appreciate it.
So to start out, at the end of last Friday, we said, well, David, I'll see you back here in a couple of weeks. And David's returned.
I'm here.
And I will address that. The Summer of 93 at 30 series is largely recorded much ahead of time. And that, so things have happened already with a lot of things. The main show of it only has a couple weeks of the episodes left to record for the end of August, but these music video episodes are still a little bit ongoing. And there was a plan and a schedule and people, and one of those people that was supposed to be here for this episode was a recurring guest of the show, Mike Vanderbilt. And the episode had been recorded for that one. And I'm gonna, I've made a statement on social medias and stuff, but I'll address here. So I'm a little bit better, a little more than a minimal characters thing here on my podcast. But Monday last week, I was perusing Twitter and I came across a tweet from Mike's podcast, The Halloweenies, and they looked like they were cutting ties with him. And I was like, well, that's interesting. That's strange. But I also noticed he didn't have a Twitter account anymore as well. So I was like, well, this is really, really weird. And through a little bit of a search, I landed on a Facebook page of a confessional from a woman. And I won't go into any graphic detail, but there were some very serious allegations put against Mike Vanderbilt. And then there were more allegations against Mike Vanderbilt. He has not been convicted of anything. There's no court case or anything going on at this time, no charges, but there are now many allegations on him. And I looked it over, and I'm in the belief that there is truth in here, and you never know fully with people, especially in this world of podcasting, where I have guests that I have only known via podcast. I've never met in person. There's plenty of them. I feel I have had good relations with them, and I want to think the best of the people I've had on. But at the end of the day, we know each other through recording, and I don't know them outside of stopping the recording of the call. And the allegations I read truly disturbed me and upset me. And I felt awful. I like to promote a show here with positive people, with a nice positive slant on film and entertainment. And I know you, the listeners, tend to like that too. And I try to bring in people that can bring that. And Mike came to me during the beginning of recording this show. He was recommended by a colleague of mine, and he came on, and I enjoyed recording with him. I had him back multiple times, including the summer of 82 at 40 last summer. Mike always showed up very prepared, was a bit of a showman, very off mic. I had some good conversations with him. I know a lot of people, there's a lot of people talking about him on Twitter and stuff that, probably only know his Twitter persona, which that's fine. I'm someone who I knew him through recording, and he showed up. He did more than he was asked. He was always fun to record. He never was offensive on here or said anything bad, but that's what I know of him through recording. Is he capable of what? Yeah, of course, because I knew him through recording. And I will believe the victims of what has happened. And so I made the decision, along with producer Brad Shoemaker, going over this. We took it very seriously, to scrap the episodes recorded, with Mike, and to move forward. And I was going to re-record with a different guest because, that's what it is. And Mike will no longer appear on this show. For the time being, his episodes that he's done in the past will remain. I like to think that those are archival. They're part of the show's history, a bit of podcast history. And if there's anything left in there that could maybe help somebody, in terms of information that may have been said, I'm going to leave it there to be analyzed. So I don't want to I'm not going to take it down at this time. It'll remain. But I want to say, like, I know a lot of people with statements that said like they were cutting ties with him were mad that something wasn't said about standing by the victims and stuff. I feel like that should have been insinuated in a statement like that. But I'm here to say, like, I do stand. I'm willing to listen here, and don't be afraid to come say what you have to say. You're apparently not alone. But that's my statement here. I'm not going to advertise this episode as that. I don't want attention for it. I just want my listeners who may have read or seen something about it and wondering what's Brandon thinking. Or I listened to a show that he's been on a couple times. What's up with that? Here you are. It's within this episode. I hope you're listening. But that's for you. I don't need to showboat it. I think you should, look for the victims. Nobody needs to be trying to make anything off this. Just see what's happening, keep up to date, and stand with the victims. So, with further ado, my replacement recording is Mr. David Banks. Nobody else I could think of, because when we were recording last time, he mentioned both things that the previous person would have been on. And I'm like, well, David's got his shot now. So I'm more than happy to have David back here. But first, David, we're going to talk about the movies from Monday on the show. Sliver, you ever seen that one?
Long time ago, I did. This was Sharon Stone, right?
Yep.
Yes. This was right off of Basic Instinct.
Yes. Yep.
And if I can be totally honest with you, I did watch Basic Instinct. I shouldn't have, but I did. and if this was coming right off the heels of Basic Instinct, I wanted more Sharon Stone.
Yep.
Naked. So that's pretty much. I'm just going back to that era. I'm just going back to what I was thinking as a
right. Oh no, that you were a teen boy
kid.
Yeah,
yes.
young kid that's like, oh, that's the girl that gets naked in movies.
Yes, exactly. Which is, the same reason why I watched the Nightmare on Elm Street and Friday the 13th movies. I didn't care, But yeah, I remember that movie very well.
Coming up on Cinemax, Sliver. It sure is, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Followed right behind Red Shoes Diaries.
Yeah. First, oh gosh, yep. So also we did Hot Shots Part 2. Or duh.
I remember that too.
Yeah.
I never seen that one. I've seen the first one. I didn't go see the second one.
No, okay, crazy.
I know.
What about Carnosaur? Did you see that one?
I did not.
Okay. Trash.
Okay. All right. So I'm not missing anything good.
How about Like Water for Chocolate? It's a little international film.
No, I didn't see that one either.
All right. But you did see lots of back then, Nothing But a G Thing, which was the sensation that kicked off the 3 times platinum album, The Chronic by Dr. Dre. This album peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot, or the song peaked at number 2 on the Billboard Hot 100, and number 1 on the rap and R&B charts. The album's legacy has got to be like, this one's got to be one of the tops of all time. Not just like of hip hop, but like the 90s decade, just with like ease. And then, and I think though, it's funny, I go back and read like old like reviews of the time, and I'm like, I don't think it's an album critics at the time were ready for, or probably thought would be one of the most popular or important of the decade when it came out. So
No, they didn't.
they
didn't know.
Yeah.
They had no idea what was coming. They didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking from my experience back in the inner city, you know, the Black community, the Chronic album was our Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Band.
Yeah.
It was one of the best, like you said, hip hop albums of all time. And the way that it hit the scene, it was one of the first hip hop albums that it was something that affected the culture. It was something that hit our hearts. It was legendary. That's what it was. It was legendary. And you know, from people when it reached the suburban neighborhood, then it was really out of this world. It was sensational. It was sensational. I actually remember buying the CD, and I know we talked about last time where the CDs came in the big long boxes and everything. That's where the Chronic came in.
Oh, okay.
And I will never forget that I played that for hours, just constant rotation.
Yeah,
I loved it.
This particular song selected by the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is one of the 500 songs that shaped rock and roll. So, not just hip hop, I guess, but
it's a fine. I guess there's a fine line between rock and roll and hip hop, R&B, and punk, whatever. Okay, whatever.
Like the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. It's like, do you guys just want to be the Music Hall of Fame? Like,
that's a debate going on.
Yeah,
you know, I think Dolly Parton had a issue with that too, right? Recently.
Yeah. I wanted to say something like Dr. Dre, because for as big a name, he has not many albums, but I feel like he approaches, and you can correct me anytime you want, David. But like I got this vibe from him, like, because he's not, if he has an ego, it's not in performance, because he shares with so many other rappers, and because like he let Snoop lead off his like big song to kick off, but I feel like he's more like a film director when it comes to making his albums. Like he assembles a cast. He's interested in being behind the scenes. He might come in with he comes in with his little cameo or something, or like he's directing something he's like a leading actor in. But he's like gives people their time to shine. He's really into structuring it, putting it together, making it track to track feel like a good flow, putting together neat stuff with the songs. Like I feel like he works more like a director like that than he does like a music artist in that sort of sense.
Yeah. Dr. Dre is a perfectionist. Anybody who has worked with him always says that he's a perfectionist. And he's never professed himself as being a lyricist. He's more comfortable behind, in the booth, making, creating. That's how he always was. He's not a writer.
Yeah.
He's a beat maker. He, like you said, he just gathers a cast and just puts them in the right place.
Right.
His family tree, if you look at his family tree, it is full of stars. Dating back to NWA, Eazy-E, Ice Cube, MC Ren, DJ Yella. Then you got Snoop Dogg, Corrupt, Daz, Nate Dogg, Warren G, RBX, Lady of Rage. Fast forward, he's worked with Nas, he's worked with Jay-Z, then he discovered Eminem, 50 Cent. He's worked with Mary J. Blige. Whoever he has worked with, they are stars, and they have all had hits and continue to have hits.
Yeah.
He is the Quincy Jones of the hip hop community.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, and he like thinking of like Eminem just like larger than life. Like he launched that guy with like ease. It was just like, here we go.
Yeah.
That was like his second wave, like, because in the 90s, he had brought like, because he was really behind Snoop there.
Mm-hmm.
Really kicked that, like his sneak preview to the Doggy Style is right here in this album. It's almost like a commercial selling point there. But yeah, it's interesting, and I feel like too, like when you get to the video part of this, like it's almost previewing Snoop's kickoff single too, because he goes to the house and you see the parents and like lazing around and stuff. And it kind of like,
what's my name?
Yeah. While a lot of people watching it or whatever, like got like, I don't know, like just this rebellious vibe in it, but you kind of get this like almost sympathy for what they're living through with their deadbeat parents, things like that, and trying to, I don't know, they got a chip on their shoulder, but like, in this story of this, they're successful, but the parents don't give a shit. Like, how's that album?
Right.
Whatever, whatever.
That's how it usually is with the kid with the dream. Then the parents is like, "Oh God, dreams! I'm tired of hearing about this."
Yeah.
And then the kid is so passionate about it, but the parents is like, dreams don't bring in money,
Right.
stuff like that. Dreams, it's just the kid's dreams, and they want to be successful. I wanted to play in the NBA. I had a little pipe dream.
Yeah.
And everything. So that's all it was. And I'm the same, me being a father, I'm probably the same way. Every parent is like that, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's hard when you have kids to be like, you hear them say that, you're like,
Yeah.
You're
like, okay.
Yeah, sure. Well,
sure. Yeah, well, whatever. Yeah.
They'll figure it out on their own. That's the thing. You don't need to stomp it now. They'll figure it out. Interesting little factoid about this one. In 1998, the CBS reported that Senator Sam Brownback, a Republican from Kansas, who sought hearings in the Senate Commerce, Science, and Transportation Committee, said he was concerned the music industry is marketing its most violent and misogynistic tendencies to teens. And the report added, while industry executives assert that children are protected from the music, much evidence suggests that the most hyper-violent albums are bought by children. Advisory labels were the outcome of the hearing. So this one was thrown in there with like that 2 Live Crew stuff, because that was the one they were really after, was 2 Live Crew. And then NWA came out, scared the hell out of like old white-haired guys.
Right. I mean, let's not forget when Ice-T came out with Cop Killer and with Body Count. That scared the hell out of people. And I've always had that image of them throwing the CDs on the ground, hip hop CDs on the ground, and just running over with some sort of machine, just breaking them all and everything. I never get that out of my head. But the 90s in especially this era was a very rebellious type of era, very similar to, let's say, what the 70s were.
Yeah.
With the Woodstock era, very rebellious. And as a kid, I soaked it all in.
Yeah.
I didn't care. I soaked it all in because it was speaking to me. It was speaking to me and my friends, and we could relate to everything, especially off this album. We could relate to everything that they was talking about.
Yeah, between this
because we've seen it.
This form of hip hop, and then like grunge was like truly just like spinning things around, and definitely 2 forms of rebelliousness coming through. Yeah, for sure. But yeah, this video here, I believe, let's see. I don't think there's no director attached to it, but I wouldn't be surprised if Dre just kind of put it together himself.
Well, I know Dre did Snoop's Gin and Juice. He directed that one.
Similar video to this. Just
yeah,
part.
yeah, very similar, really. Yeah.
Like at the beginning, I mean, it's not until like the Fugees and like, Diddy and Biggie towards the mid to late part of the decade do the hip hop videos start pumping money and
Right,
or thing.
right,
There are a lot of hangout videos.
right. All the G thing is, man, it's a simple video. It's just talking about a day in Compton.
Yep.
That's all it is. Just a regular day in Compton.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very smooth. And then, going to pick up Snoop, going to a barbecue, then going to a house party, rolling down the street, 10 deep in lowriders.
It's a much more epic day than Diddy from Paperboy. That's
very so, yes.
All the people that didn't get invited to this party are over at Paperboy Diddy, like, oh well, what do you think Dre's doing? I don't know, man. I don't want to think about it.
What many people forget, this wasn't Snoop's debut. Snoop and Dre had a song off a deep cover.
Right. Yep.
Off a deep cover soundtrack, 187,
Mm-hmm.
And that was really Snoop's debut. A little factoid about G Thang. Snoop was in jail when he recorded the demo.
Yeah.
He was in jail for something, I forget, and Dre really wanted the demo done. So Snoop called in. Snoop already had the lyrics written out. Dre put the phone up to the mic, and then it was over a different beat. And then that's when Snoop just came out with 1, 2, 3 into the 4 and rapped the whole song. Dre recorded it, and then one day he was fumbling around in his mom's house, looking through old records as Dre does, and he found, I forget the singer song from the 70s. Forgive me, but he found the beat as we know the day for G Thang.
Yeah,
and he said that would be a nice bass line for it. And when told Snoop to come in and recorded it, and Snoop wrote Dre's lyrics too, because like I said, Dre's not a writer, he's not a lyricist.
Mm-hmm.
And with the help of the DOC, they formulated G Thang.
Gotcha.
That's pretty much how the Chronic was. The Chronic was just formulated in Dre's house. Dre had no furniture at all, just a keyboard and a sound machine. And that's how the Chronic came to be.
Gotcha.
Very quick factoid.
Gotcha. It's funny because this leads in next week on the program. We're talking about Menace to Society, which you were mentioning, Deep Cover, which there's a whole slew of films at the time dealing with projects, hoods, stuff like that, with Boys in the Hood and Menace to Society, Deep Cover. Lots of good stuff coming there. This video too, one of the things feature blurred out stuff, like logos and all sorts of things blurred out. We don't want to be associated. We don't sponsor this. Hats and stuff. I believe that the White Sox on Dre's hat is now cleared. They're cool with it. I remember originally it was blurred out when it aired on MTV. All the sports teams, everything like that. They would.
It was especially Snoop's Chronic leaf on his hat. Of course, that was blurred out. It wasn't blurred out before.
And the joints and stuff in there are blurred out.
With Warren G rolling up the joint at the park. Yeah. And of course we got the infamous scene with the volleyball game.
With the Mercedes Ashley, who's a porn star.
Yeah, that was in there, which was brought back up not too long ago because of the controversy and with the Me Too movement and everything. But of course that was blurred out and everything. But I mean, go ahead.
Go for it.
No, I was just saying. But as a kid, I fell in love with West Coast hip hop with this video, and with the history of hip hop, to give context to this of how we got here. Everybody knows that it pretty much originated in New York, with Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. Later on with Def Jam Records, LL Cool J. Probably the most popular hip hop when it came to when it boosted into mainstream was Aerosmith and Run DMC, Walk This Way.
Yeah.
And then you had Curtis Blow, later on Public Enemy, Salt and Pepper, Shantae Roxanne. All of that was New York based. Over on the other side of the West Coast, you had this sort of rumbling, and it started off as kind of like a techno electric kind of dance music, but with acts like Too Short and Ice-T. Ice-T came out with 6 in the Morning back in 85-ish.
Around around the break-in time, yeah.
Yeah. And they came out, and it opened a lot of eyes in the West Coast. But the West Coast was dealing with, especially LA, the crack cocaine era, the LA gang era, the Bloods and Crips, and the LAPD just hitting on everybody, and you had these young kids from LA and Compton and South Central, spearheaded by Dr. Dre and Eric Young, aka Eazy-E, everybody knew Ice Cube, and everybody knew MC Ren, everybody knew DJ Yella. They got together and just wanted to be heard. And their first single was Eazy-E's Boys in the Hood, which led the way to Ruthless Records, which led the way to NWA Straight Outta Compton, which was produced, of course, by Dr. Dre.
Yep.
That was a game changer in itself, because everybody, let's say on the other side of the country, kind of heard about what was going on in LA, but kind of pushed it to the side. It was like, new stuff, whatever. But when NWA was talking about it, like first verse, when Ice Cube came out, say, Straight Outta Compton, crazy motherfucker named Ice Cube. Blew the mind. Blew the mind.
His flow on that was amazing.
It was amazing. It was amazing. Nobody has ever heard rap music like this before. And then you fast forward, and then, of course, with the turmoil and everything with NWA, when Cube left for money reasons, and then NWA recorded just one more album after that, and then that's where the bottom fell out, and Dre left and hooked up with Marion Suge Knight. And there you come with Death Row. Suge got him out of the Ruthless Records contract. Dre just wanted to produce. Warren G was his half brother. Warren G was in the group with Nate Dogg and Snoop 213. Introduced him to Snoop. He heard Snoop rhyme, said, "I gotta get this guy in the studio." And there you have the creation of the Chronic, the introduction of Snoop Dogg. That's how we got here, and they never looked back ever since. It was magic. And Death Row, for a time, was the biggest selling record label out there. I mean, nothing could top it.
Yeah.
Nothing. I mean, they fell because of their own greed and vanity, but
right,
for a time, for the first 5 or 6 years, it was Death Row Records, and that was it.
Yeah.
And we all dated back to this album, The Chronic, and to this video, Nothing But a G Thing.
Yeah, for sure. With a fridge full of 40s. So.
I love that. I love that. I love that. That makes me want to have not a 40, but
Old English throwback. Throw it back. I would have Old English back in the day.
Mad Dog 2020. What up? I'm all good. I love it.
Yeah.
And you got a little cameo by the DOC in the background, and had the whole dog pound there. It was fun.
Yeah,
it was a fun video, man.
Well, I love they got the woman there that's like goes, but she's like dressed up and too good for the party, and she has the moment where she touches the stair rail, and I was like, oh, sticky. and then she winds up getting like sprayed by 40s, which I'm like, man, that's a waste of those 40s, but okay.
We all knew somebody like that. We all knew somebody like that. This was a fun video, and
Mm-hmm.
I can I taking me back to that year. I just had so much fun. I wanted to be in death row. I not knowing what was really going on in death row. I wanted to be part of that.
You wanted it without all the like violence that might have been
Yeah,
going on
yeah,
behind the
yeah.
scenes.
I didn't want to get my ass whooped or nothing, but
Yeah.
I just, I just wanted to hang out.
Yeah.
I just wanted to have fun. And this was the era of the MTV, where
Yep.
I know we talked about it, on our other show, but this was MTV at its apex.
No, this song got plays for years. Like it wasn't
Oh,
just like a summer thing or when it was out thing.
No,
This one constantly came back. Like
it was on constant rotation,
mm-hmm.
constant rotation. And it wasn't just only on UMTV Raps.
Yeah,
it was on their regular rotation outside of the
Yep.
singular shows, and everybody loved it from different music genres. Everybody was talking about Snoop and Dre,
Mm-hmm.
and when it crossed the streams, you got a hit.
Yeah.
You have a hit, and that's what this was.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, definitely. It defines like a whole era. It launches everything. It's an iconic moment, both music video and record for the decade for sure. No, it's Chronic is something special. And then the fact that the motherfucker held off, didn't do another record till like the end or beginning of the next decade, and it was amazing again is unbelievable.
Another classic.
Unbelievable. And in its own way. Like it's a different like it's insane. And I spun that sucker like a madman for I was like, holy crap.
Me too.
I was like, there's no way he's gonna do this again. There's no way. And fuck, he did it.
Another classic, man. Like I said, Drake takes his time, and I think he says himself he's got a plethora of recordings that in his vault.
Yeah.
I mean, we're still waiting on the Detox album.
Right.
We've been waiting on that for like 20 years.
Yeah.
So
and when it's gonna blow your mind when it comes out. You're like, this motherfucker.
Oh God, just wait.
Yeah.
I can, after that Super Bowl performance a couple of years ago.
Yep.
My God.
That was
my God.
That was like, unless you're like a bigoted racist, like there was one of the least complained about Super Bowl performances I've ever seen. Because normally you can predict after a Super Bowl halftime show, it's like, okay, people thought it sucked, whatever, blah blah blah. When most of them are fine, like when you break it down, like you're giving like the world, not your fans. You got to go to the world. You're giving just like this little brief window of taste of like, here's what I got. I'm gonna try to showboat it a bit, and then everybody hates you afterwards. Like the only ones like Prince and Dr. Dre are like the only ones I think went okay without complaint. I thought the Jennifer Lopez Shakira one went pretty good, but then there were the "Oh my stars! Oh, I've never seen a woman shake herself before."
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
But that one was like mostly all praise. Like
I will tell you, this is what happened when, like, my daughter was 14 at the time, and her oldest sister, they was all over. They didn't care about the game. They didn't even watch the game. But when the halftime show came up, they were all in the living room, huddled around the TV, bouncing. I mean, literally bouncing to the music, because they have all heard those songs. They are classics.
Yep.
They are classics.
Where were you when 50 Cent showed up upside down at the Super Bowl halftime show?
In his tight shirt, trying to pull it down so he wants to. Yeah.
I guess should we say Indianapolis's new resident 50 Cent? Or so?
Oh, that's right. He was here, wasn't he?
He's here now. Like he's doing business. Like he has a licensing deal with the Fieldhouse right now, and he's here all the time. So I'm sure he lives somewhere. I'm sure he's got a place to stay here. Like, but that's hilarious. Yeah.
Probably. Man, that's one guy that you can't complain about. He's been a hit musician, and now he's doing TV and other things. He's a bona fide Renaissance man.
Yeah.
You can't complain about 50 Cent.
He did go broke a few years ago, but he seems to be doing fine now. He's got a production company. He's got his liquor. Because he doesn't just have like liquor. He's got like a line of stuff, so he can like supply your like bar or whatever. So
yeah. But very successful TV shows and everything else.
Isn't that Power? Is that him? Is that one of them? That's on
That's one of him. Yeah.
Yep.
BMF, Ghost, Power Book 2. Yeah, man.
Yeah.
He's making moves.
Yeah.
And then you rewind it back to Snoop. Everybody loves Snoop.
Yeah, Snoop went from guy on like literally death row and on trial, and murder was the case that they gave him, and then now he's like a household name. Kids love him, like writing little books. Like what a turnaround. Like,
I mean, grandmothers run up to hug Snoop. He's Uncle Snoop now.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It is amazing.
It is so funny. Like, yeah, for sure, so Diesel. What? Yeah, he's just harmless little guy. Like that's
everybody loves Snoop, man.
Yeah,
everybody loves Snoop, man. And like I said, it all dates back to the Chronic album.
Yep.
Who would have thought? Like 30 years later, look where everybody's at now.
Well, yeah, it's the equivalent, the rock equivalent of like Metallica walking around with like short hair now, like looking like dad. That's that equivalent. Like, they just got older. They're poorly, but they went through their rebellious phase, as you said. They led a charge of that for an era, and that's where we're at. So, very good. Very good.
Like I said, I much respect, man. I don't think this album gets enough flowers. It should get all the flowers, all of them, because it's a bona fide classic. It should go in a Smithsonian somewhere. Right,
for sure. But yeah, so David, that'll do us for today with this one. In a few weeks, you'll be back, and on that episode, we're gonna say you're done, but you're not done. So for those who hear that one, think he's done, he's not. He'll be back towards the very end of the summer. But for now, until a couple weeks, David, where can people keep up with you?
Well, they can look me up on social media. You can look me up on my Facebook page. Just type in my name, David Banks. You can look at me on IG, as the kids call it, Instagram at AquariusMade80. I am there. I post stuff here and there, and I'm very active on there. So yeah, you can look me up on there.
Excellent. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon4KUHD, written work on whysoblu.com. Monday, Scott, Aaron, and I have one of the biggest weeks of summer of 93 at 30 as we discuss Cliffhanger, Made in America, Super Mario Brothers, the movie, and Menace to Society. So you won't want to miss that at all. This was like a good preemptive one going into Menace, because a lot of topics, I've already recorded that one. Come up there, so that's cool. And you brought up Deep Cover. We brought up that in that episode as well.
Oh, did you?
Yes.
Make note that that's the OG Super Mario Brothers.
It is the yeah, and we have quite the conversation about it. So all right, but all that and more as the summer of 93 at 30 continues.
It's the summer of 93 at 30.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.